Welcome back, folks, to another Funnel Building Live. In this particular show, we're going to show you all the kit you would ever need to create a profitable sales funnel. It should be a great show. Over to you, Spence.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. And okay, so for today's show, we're actually going to use a demo here of one of our starter sites that's got the camping adventure awaits. And I think this is actually quite metaphoric because when you think of camping, you've got to pack just the right amount of stuff into a backpack for your trip and nothing more. Now, does that mean you can't go home or you can't go to the store? Of course you can, but you put the right amount of stuff in your backpack so you can go have the adventure you need. Similarly, today we're going to talk about what is the minimum number of things in your kit, in your backpack. I think kit is like a British word, right? Like put it in your kit. That you need in order to achieve ClickFunnels type things on WordPress. It doesn't mean it's exclusionary though. So from that standpoint, I'd love to jump in and get on with it. But let's talk about the why. Would you like to have a discussion of the why first, or should we just jump right in and then we'll talk about the why?
Let's go straight into it, Spence.
All right, let's go straight into it. So I'm going to go on the back end here. And one of the things that we were actually talking about today on the WP-Tonic show is the fact that in some cases, people overstate their problem. They, at WP Launchify, we call this having shiny ball syndrome. They essentially think that everything on the shelf is better than just one or two things on the shelf. But imagine if you did have to take a backpack, or if you're carry-on luggage in today's airline world, something has to stay at home, right? And I know you like to ski as well. Like when I go on a ski trip, it's particularly, I can only fit one pair of shoes that is going to work here, there, and everywhere. And so it makes you create logical choices. But similarly, for the last 16 years, I've been working on the idea of how can we bring the right pieces together. So let's go through our stack here on the back end, and then we'll talk about some of the things that it does on the front end. So one of the essential pieces of kit is a free plugin called Admin Menu Editor. Now, the reason I throw that in is anybody who is older than 25 years old will immediately notice my left-hand side here. Let me zoom in. Notice something unusual here about the left side, Jonathan. Can you tell what's different about this than a regular WordPress setup? I'll give you a hint. A to Z.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm a bit
alphabetical.
He's challenging me, folks, because he knows I've got dyslexia.
No, I'm teasing. But the idea is Jonathan and I are both of the age, and I think most of my clients agree that having this just alphabetical, this is the one purpose among others that this plugin really brings to the table. And it's a big deal. WooCommerce, W, right? I just go down there, ta-da. And it can even organize the submenus. A secondary benefit that we're not going to talk about today, but I'll talk about it later, is you can use it for creating a custom dashboard for your clients, as simple as hiding the things and reorganizing the things based upon what they need to see and when. And that's a really powerful thing. For a free plugin with an upsell, no big deal. I always use the free one without any problems. Okay, forms. Now, there must be a dozen forms plugins out there, but we're really using Fluent Forms because it's just a nice complement to what already we've been talking about with Fluent CRM. However, lots of people get great use out of Gravity Forms or any of the other ones like Contact Form 7. In this case, just take Fluent Forms as a suggestion, but you're gonna need a competent form plugin. It has to be a plugin, if you ask me, because otherwise you have all of your stuff locked in a gilded cage on somebody else's platform. Big no-no in today's world of open source where you own it and control it. The add-on pack is something I've thrown in here that gives us some good, some nice little goodies that we've talked about when you use a form and you want to add them to your CRM or put them in an automation, take money, lots of different things. So that's something not necessary, but might be useful. Fluent CRM and Fluent CRM Pro are the customer resource management. That is the thing that many people still might in the past have used an outside service for. Salesforce, HubSpot, Infusionsoft, Drip, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. While you can still use an external one and connect it with WP Fusion, and that is, again, a powerful choice that's very popular, Fluent CRM, for most of the things we're talking about, puts into your kit, into your backpack, the CRM you need to go up the mountain and do what you need to do today, tomorrow, and in the future. And it has maybe one or two huge benefits. Number one, you own it and control it, so you're not paying for every additional new lead or prospect or contact you put in there. Number two is it works natively without having to do what we call an API call up and a webhook down. So imagine you had a store and your like warehouse is over there and your cash register's in two different buildings. You got to call over to the warehouse like, Jonathan's here and he gave me the money. Can you bring out the product? And then they have to come wheel back and talk to you on the walkie-talkie. Versus, what if it was all in one spot and the contact or the customer can interact? Cadence theme, along with Cadence blocks and Cadence starter templates, is one of several very popular verticals. We did talk about this today as well. Forget full site editing. I know I'm being very dramatic here, but for the moment, all this stuff about WordPress 6.0, there's two conversations: blocks and the page builder with Gutenberg versus full site editing. Forget everything for now about full site editing and just use traditional themes that already give you the whiteboard, the framework on which to build stuff. And then we're using blocks and the page builder of Gutenberg to do stuff in there. And that gives us the ideal situation. And that's one of the things I advocate for. If you got to put it in your kit, forget about all this distraction about full site editing. It's miles away from anything usable. And even then, we've already got the answer with Astra theme, Cadence theme, Generate Blocks theme. If you like, you can use other page builders. I don't think you should right now, like Elementor and Divi, but if you're comfortable, you can use those. They provide the same basic metaphor. Theme is the framework, page builder puts the layout in place. Okay. Launch Flows is my own plugin that allows you to turn WooCommerce into a sales funnel type tool. And it does it very lightly and gracefully, and with some new features that we've just put in that really make it possible to do cool stuff with very few steps. So think of it like, you know, like the Swiss Army knife for WooCommerce. And then, of course, we got WooCommerce subscriptions. And those are basically providing the transactional engine, the thing that allows you to onboard users, either free or paid, register them, log them in, provide them a dashboard. It connects to probably hundreds and hundreds of useful other functions and services, so that it's like having extra Velcro on your, you know, theme framework to attach stuff and do stuff, one of which being Launch Flows. But it allows you to take a one-time payment, installment payment, a subscription payment, and so forth. And then it works with other services as well. Like, so for example, Metoric, if you have a very powerful site, can allow you to get a direct insight into the workings of what your people are buying and their subscriptions and their churn, and do a really cool high-end CEO report or dashboard, like a boiler room, one of those things that shows like what's happening minute to minute. And then there's a free plugin here called WooCommerce Subscriptions Custom Price String. And what that ends up doing is providing a way that you can change the name of what's otherwise kind of clunky, awkward language. So if you have a subscription that's like $25 a month and then $100 a month after the third month, it will literally say some crazy thing like that on the front end where people are buying stuff. And it's just too much. So this allows you to change the name into something like $25 a month, then $300 or something. And so it really is powerful. This kit gets you 99% of the way when used with, as suggested, you're going to have the underlying theme. So let's just talk about that. Here I'm using Cadence, but you could, again, use the Astra vertical, the Generate Press vertical, Elementor vertical, Divi vertical. Any of those are going to provide the mechanics in a well-known, already established customizer type of menu, which we were talking about earlier today. So let's bop on over there for a second. And so with WYSIWYG capability, you've got most of everything you want to do right here. You don't have to adapt a new model, and yet you still have the power of Gutenberg on the front end. Patterns. So for example, lots of outside patterns, lots of pattern plugins, but even with Launch Flows, we provide all of our best sales funnel mechanics ready to go. Just click and copy, paste it into Gutenberg. Finally, the sales templates, I should say the starter templates, are built in as well. So we can use anything to start and anything while we're building from a number of really gorgeous components, right? Like inside of our own thing. We can choose the color palette, the font palette, and we can choose amongst the individual page choices. So if we went over here to this menu, we can see all of the different things that are available from this particular setup to use. And we can use those as the basis of our sales funnels, starter pages, thank you pages, and more. So that's the kit. That is essentially what I would pack for anybody who's interested in doing the kinds of things that give you ClickFunnels behavior on WordPress. Back to you, Jonathan.
Oh no, I thought you're just going to plow ahead. Sorry, I haven't got any questions. I was going to leave them to the end of it.
Oh, well, I think what we were talking about is I wanted to give you an opportunity here. I was going to do about 10 minutes of what the kit was, and then we were going to carry on with some questions or some things. I thought that was what we were going to do today. Would you like me to carry on and show some of these things on the front end? Or?
I think that would be great.
All right, so let's talk about some basic examples. I've shown this in other live events, but for anybody who's just coming at this, first of all, Launch Flows provides a way to turn WooCommerce's products into something custom. So if we were to just go over here to the products, this means that you don't have to set up an entirely separate plugin with custom post types and flows and all kinds of mechanics. You simply go to any product that you feel you want to customize and sell, and you can convert it into something that has sales funnel behavior. And Launch Flows works with the native WooCommerce, so all the other WooCommerce components will play nicely, including the subscription. So here, for example, we've got a product that sells for $299, and all the other normal WooCommerce stuff exists. But look over here with Launch Flows, we can say, where should this product go if we want to send it right to a checkout and avoid the normal 5-step process of go from the shop page to the product page, to the add to cart, to the cart page, to the checkout page, to an overlay. Instead, we could just take a link, get this product and promote it on our website, promote it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and anywhere, and it will go to the checkout. So watch what happens. If I go over here with this product and I copy the generated link based upon my configuration, anywhere I go, I add it in and it will send it to my custom checkout. And this could be my global checkout or my custom checkout. Here it's just the standard one. And that's a really, really powerful behavior by itself, but you have lots of other configurations that are important. Like, where do you take somebody after they've purchased? Maybe you sell them a course and you take them right to the course page. You can even include other information in the product description to give them, like, here's what you bought and here's what you should do next, A, B, C, D, and E. And it keeps the customer really inside of, what you need them to know, instead of the traditional, like, I've sent you off to the shop, you ended up in some place you didn't expect, and now you have a fight to get back. And the important thing here is, again, minimalistic, keeping it simple. And then finally, when you configure all this, you have lots of options even on the single products to customize their layouts. Maybe you're going to use this, or maybe you're going to use your own page builder. But then this works with the marketing automation. So here, for example, if somebody buys something, we'll know they bought it when we're using our Fluent CRM, but we can also give them specific tags. And that tag could be useful down the road for showing or hiding different things, changing the design, giving them special discounts or offers, giving them free things. In other words, we're able to, by just a simple product, give somebody things that identify, just like in a gymnasium or a hotel. Like, you bought the membership to the pool, you can go to the buffet, you can go to the health club. That is a behavior that makes it possible for you to really customize the user's journey and always deliver what you want. And as you can see, it just starts with this. The other part of this is on the checkout. So again, we can do one checkout for the whole site, or we can do a custom checkout for any sales funnel so that it's specific to the product. And here we have the same opportunity. We can just customize it based on going to the regular page or post and checking a checkbox, say add to checkout. And that's right here, this feature. But we have the option using blocks to plop in pre-made patterns. Remember, I showed you that there's a separate website, but we also have existing very popular patterns of stuff you can just click right inside of your existing, WordPress 6.0. If we went and used the other patterns, that might look something like this. We would go find some example of a checkout or some other sales page. Let's say we'll go to checkout. And we just find something that I've got working and demonstrable. Like, here's something that I find is a popular pattern. We can see what it looks like and play with it and test it. But if we wanted to use this with all the kind of nuances, we just copy the pattern code. We go over here, paste it into our site, and everything is there ready to go. So even though other page builders are helpful, sticking with the Gutenberg blocks and the patterns is going to make it super easy and fast, minimal, to get exactly the thing you need on the mountain to succeed with whatever you're trying to sell. And that includes membership, online content. Content could be courses, could be videos, could be, imagery. You could do it for automation, like you have a consulting business or events, any of the things that you normally would have to go to a lot of trouble. This minimal kit is like WordPress WooCommerce as a platform. It's just got what you need and not what you don't. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I've got a couple, got some questions. One that just occurred to me, you just mentioned coaching, consultants. What's your recommendation around booking calendar systems? So that somebody could book a spot and then the person can utilize the system that we outlined to either buy a course or a consultation with somebody. So they need a good calendar solution for a client. Got any recommendations?
Absolutely. So there's two ways to handle this, and it depends on what your business is. If your business is consultative, where you want to have a Zoom call or something else with somebody, then ironically, but in a functional way, I would do kind of what we do. We like Calendly. It's not the only game in town, but any outside calendar is fine. Calendly is really nice because what it allows us to do, and you can actually, I might as well just show you this, it's fine. We do this at WP Launchify is, let's go back over here and show my screen. So, and this is just one way to slice this thing up. Somebody here who wants to do a call, click here and it launches immediately Calendly. That is the simplest way to do it. However, I want to point out something that you can also do, which we do sometimes for other purposes. We have a special setup. Or if I gave out the link WP Launchify call, it puts them to an interstitial page or an intermediary page where we can collect the information about the person beforehand and add them into our sales funnel. And if they were to go here, like John Smith, testing at test.com, they would be able to choose which appointment they want. But now John Smith is being added into the top of my CRM for other follow-ups. And then they still get delivered to where they want. That's a super powerful. The second way of doing things that I would recommend a lot of people might get a benefit from is, let's say you are working with WooCommerce and you've got something that is more akin to scheduled events. Like, in other words, a rock concert is different than a random phone call with a person, right? Like, that's a one-to-many event. You're having 50 people show up or something. So for that, I actually like Foo Events. It's something that integrates deeply with WooCommerce. It works with WP Fusion. It's very simple to set up. However, a very powerful and a little more complicated with more features is the Modern Tribe Events Calendar and Events Calendar Plus, which undeniably does a lot of stuff, but it's very complex. There's lots of stuff going on. So 3 suggestions for one-to-one kind of calls: do some outside service, either directly link to them and then you set it up. And by the way, one of the things that's interesting, when you're using an outside service, you can always leverage the power of their integration. And typically all of them will have some integration either through Zapier, Integromat, or directly with WordPress. So for example, if you were to sign up on Calendly or something like that as an outside service for doing your calls, they have a way that they can send something through Zapier to add a new user, let's say to WordPress. What that means to you is that it's not the direct way of getting somebody into your sales funnel, but let's say you have a WordPress site with Fluent CRM, you can have the person come from Calendly, be added into WordPress as a user, and then that adds them into Fluent CRM. So you end up with the person in the virtuous circle. But I always like to try to get the person in, like I showed you with that WP Launchify example, first in my sales funnel, then go to the live event.
Yeah, I've got another question. When somebody's got a client and they're on, let's say, ClickFunnels, or they're on ActiveCampaign or HubSpot, I'm just choosing those three, and the WordPress professional is trying to persuade them to look at Fluent CRM. Are there any, and they're thinking of hiring to get a consultation from you or to have you help them? Are there any, can you give some, are there some things that they really got to understand when they're consulting initially with that particular client? Do you feel that almost not every angle, but most angles now, the stack that you've showed in this show can do almost most of the things that ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, or HubSpot can do to some extent?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So let's break it down between the CMS and the CRM. The CMS, which is the thing that builds the mechanics of the site and the layout and the design and the components that people use to consume the content, 100% WordPress is superior to all of those things. That's why it runs 43% of the internet. With regard to the CRM, there's actually more of a user knowledge or political or a common sense approach to how we recommend people do things. If you have a client or a customer who's already got a business on one of the major CRMs, Salesforce, HubSpot, and Confusionsoft, one of those, you're not going to be doing them a favor to try to pull them off of it. However, you can offer them.
I'm not being rude, but I did choose those three on purpose: ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, and HubSpot. And I just want to quickly tell you,
sure.
The reason why I chose those three, because I saw them as a kind of service that could cater for a medium-sized business, where when you mention Salesforce and Confusionsoft, as I call it, I see those as quasi-enterprise solutions, where I thought the WordPress professional that we're aiming this show at, they probably could stand a chance with a medium-sized business that may be utilizing ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, or HubSpot and get them out.
ClickFunnels doesn't. True. Okay. So ActiveCampaign and HubSpot, maybe Drip, maybe one of those other intermediary ones, they're very popular and they have features that are useful for many people who have come from them first. So if you have a real estate firm or a car dealership, you're selling used cars, and there's lots of one-on-one and sales interaction, Entreport. Sometimes those CRMs provide a business operations purpose that doesn't have anything to do with the website. And that's the differentiator. When you're talking to a client, or I'm teaching people who have a business about whether the particular CRM that does all those other things is a better choice than Fluent, I just say, let's talk about what you're using it for. If you're primarily using it to give access to digital content on the website, access control, managing the subscriptions, those features are completely 100% in the wheelhouse of Fluent. If you're using it for deal flow or round robin assignment of stuff to different sales managers, or you're using the CRM in a complex way like HubSpot for creating all kinds of other things that HubSpot uniquely does interactively, then you ask yourself, does the client have too much invested in this to take them off? In which case, no problem. Just use those instead of Fluent. The result's the same. But Fluent, if we're talking back to our original metaphor about a kit, I'm envisioning a situation where somebody's saying, like, if I started from scratch and ran to the backpack supply store, what would I buy and throw into a backpack? And starting out with something you can put in the backpack is the way I would go. That's a Fluent. Whereas you have this dependency on somebody having to have an account, pay a subscription, all their customers are on an outside CRM. And if I was starting from scratch, I would not likely do that unless I knew that type of business was going to grow into needing that for sure.
I think you just, because I think that'd be the great benefit of a WordPress professional approaching you, because they've got this opportunity with this maybe, I kind of envision something between 50 and maybe 300 people size business. And they're on one of these, excluding ClickFunnels, which I think it has its own niche, but something like ActiveCampaign, HubSpot, and they've built a relationship with that particular client through building a website, and the clients approach them and saying, we want to utilize WordPress to take over ActiveCampaign or HubSpot. It's very expensive and we just like it in one interface. And that would be the beauty of really partnership with you, because you'd be able to advise which bits are possible to utilize and which bits would probably not be best to take on. So that would help the WordPress professional not losing that client or upsetting that client. Would I be right about that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have two ways that we help the WordPress professional. First of all, having a free consultation with their client gives them the ability to sort of say, I trust these guys to talk to you, either because they're working for me or because I'm bringing them in as an expert, whichever way works for you. We have the free call. It's like a doctor who is willing to have a free exam and let's take a look at your test results. And what we can do is then recommend one of two solutions that help the WordPress professional to make more money. And WordPress professional could be somebody who does the website stuff. They could be copywriting. They could be Facebook ads. They could be social media. Somebody who works with somebody who has a business. If their website mechanics are a yard sale disaster, it makes it harder for them to make money from that client, because the client can't get results and they can't even get the functional stuff applied to it, because nobody is going to have a successful Facebook campaign sending somebody to a disaster website that doesn't have a proper sales funnel in it, right? So the two solutions are, one, a kit, something that is like legitimately, you just grab one of these for your clients and then you customize it up and do your specialty on it. And the client wins and you win because you start with a nice clean slate. Number two is a retrofit. And that includes things like helping them transition existing paying customers from other janky third-party things that, you know, they're on Gumdrop over here or Gumroad, and they're, you know, the customers have a member plugin. Consolidating that down is the retrofit. So either of those two things is helpful.
Yeah, because I think in the coming 18 months, because ActiveCampaign, HubSpot, and there's this particular business to business between 50 to up to 500 people area. I think these businesses in the next couple 18 months, 2 years are going to be looking for cost savings. And do you think, you know, that WordPress professional that brings you in, they would be able to, I think they would be able to offer considerable savings to these type of organizations. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would safely say that my expertise and my mission has always been, but particularly now, to make it possible for WordPress professionals to make money with the current status and the current tool set by streamlining and simplifying. And one of the things we talked about all the time, including today, is my specialty now is to be able to give a WordPress professional all the right answers so that their client feels confident in spending whatever budget they have. Furthermore, eliminating outside dependencies, eliminating complexities, and providing, again, WordPress as a sales funnel or whatever particular platform, which it's always been. It's just, it was like it exploded all over and the parts were strewn in a 1,000-mile radius. Somebody has to find them all. Here we're saying, here you go. Here's all the parts set up, ready to use for what you need to sell more of your specialty as an intermediary. And you and I met years ago. I mean, back in the first web designer days, I was doing the same thing, but it was before the components existed. So I was doing the same thing, showing you how to do it with HTML and CSS and PHP, and it was much harder.
So there's one other question. I just want to finish off this particular question. And if you're listening to this, folks, what you understand, what you probably do understand, is that these type of businesses, and when you've built a relationship, bringing Spence and his expertise and his team in, it could be a very lucrative long term for you in monthly residuals and building even stronger relationship with that type of client. So it's a real win-win. So my last question is, it's around membership and also coaching, mentorship that need not only a calendar, but they're probably selling either their hours, or they might be selling a course or something. The third-party shopping cart solutions like Thrive Cart or Sam's Cart, they're very prolific in their marketing. And if people do searches on YouTube, they're going to find a lot of YouTube influencers, or if they do a general search on Google, they're going to come across a lot of articles singing the praises of a Thrive Cart or a Sam's Cart. I'm not going to go into the reasons why that is. I presume that you agree with that. But if you've got a WordPress professional and they're looking at what you've outlined, what would you advise is the way that you steer that the WordPress professional should steer the client away from? Because some of these, like Thrive Cart or Sam's Cart, they're quite expensive, aren't they? That they offer lifetime deals, but they still can be around over $500 to $1,000, can't they? And you're stuck inside their ecosystem to some degree. What's your reflections on that, Spencer?
Well, I guess I would say, like, imagine you bought a brand new car, Tesla, BMW, Mercedes, whatever, a luxury car. When you buy the car, everything you need in the components are probably coming from some sub-manufacturer, right? BMW doesn't make their parts. Mercedes doesn't make all their parts. Some of them they do. What they're delivering to you is the experience of all the components put together in a coherent way so that you just experience the benefits. It solves the pain of why you're buying a luxury car. Now compare that with the notion of somebody suggesting, you're spending all this money for a luxury car. And listen, I know you'd love to have a steering wheel in the car, but you got to pay that guy down the street. And to steer the car, you got to leave the car and go down the street and move the thing and then run back to the car. And metaphorically, having a WordPress website that has the cart over here and the CRM over here and the login thing over here and the event thing over here, it could be done, but that's a Frankenstein monster versus a cohesive, here is everything fit and finished, crafted with knowledge of how it works as a system. And when you go to any successful platform, Wix, Weebly, Shopify, Kartra, Kajabi, even ClickFunnels and stuff, the reason they succeed is because they don't have 8,000 choices that are outside of their site. They have a set of features that onboards the user, holds their hand, and makes them understand exactly what to do, and it's backed with support. And essentially, in the simplest term, that's what WP Launchify and my personal efforts in WordPress bring to the table. Even if you are a WordPress professional, I assure you, I've been here 16 years. There are umpteen number of verticals that you could be an expert in. SEO and Facebook ads and social media or content or copywriting or artistic graphical stuff. I happen to be an expert in marketing, sales funnels, e-commerce, membership. And those components are not things that you would just pick up how to do unless you specialized in them, because every day there's something new, something interesting, something more advanced. So that's the point, right? There's 50, 60 different specialties of doctors. Nobody's just a doctor. They're orthopedic or an ophthalmologist or an endocrinologist. And similarly in WordPress, we just need to have something for any WordPress professional that's a standardized kit. That's why I'm here. That's what I've been talking about forever. And I've been doing it, quite frankly, since the beginning. But we finally hit our stride with this Gutenberg thing that now the page builder part, if we ignore full site editing, is out of the way. And now we can get down to business.
So just to finish off, you're totally confident that the solution that you offer for your consulting and also your great plugin launch flows can do anything that Thrive Carts or Sam Carts can do?
Better, because the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I've been lucky enough over the years, dealt with between students and clients, maybe 40, 45,000 people. I work with plugin authors who have verifiable subscribers and clients in the tens of thousands, some in the millions. I used to work with like W3TC, Frederick Towns. My video's still on their plugin. The fact is that I've been here forever and I've been testing this and trying it. And everything else about WooCommerce that people say is annoying is true. It's just too many choices, too many options, too many powerful things. I'm not adding new stuff other than what I've done in launch flows. I'm actually removing all of that and trying to show people, look, it's simple. You only need to throw a pair of socks and underwear and a t-shirt into your backpack. You don't have to take your whole closet with you. And
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So, Spencer, how do people find out more about you? And maybe if they're a WordPress professional that can book a consultation with you, how do they get that?
Yeah, I mean, if I may, I would just say, let's just go over to WP-Launchify.com and click this big button and have a free call with me. And legitimately, my favorite thing to do, that is my marketing tool of choice, is free calls. So many people don't ever do that. I don't understand why. I have found that working with WordPress and other professionals, designer, copywriter, somebody who's a CRM specialist, I can help you to make more sales with your clients, because you will inevitably have people who come to you that want your help who have a disaster of a website. And by cleaning that up and talking about why they need your services, I get to promote you to them. You look like a hero, you make more money, and I get the benefit of helping, you know, another person with basically a turnkey type of a thing, but with my expertise on how it fits in their ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think it's a real win-win, folks. If you've got this client, this medium-sized business client that's got 50, 200 plus employees, you've built that relationship, whatever service you've been offering them, and they've come to you. You cannot, you don't have to turn away that client. You can approach Spencer and his team. You know they're rock solid, and you can increase the value that you offer your clients by bringing Spence in. It's a real win-win situation.
I mean, sorry, but we represent people from solopreneur all the way up to large enterprise. And what I do think is useful as a filter, though, should be somebody that already has a product that's a proven product. If you don't have a product or service that's proven, you're wasting your time getting into my consultancy.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So it's a great resource for you, the WordPress professional. We're going to wrap up this particular show. We're not going to be doing one next week because I'm in Portugal, but the following weeks we will be delving in this whole world of marketing automation, funnels, landing pages, and offering you a great resource through Spencer. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye.